Tonight, more criticism after the government announces changes to pronoun consent and sexual education in schools.
I think it's a larger issue than whether or not a kid has taken sex ed class or not. Whether or not their parents have opted out, I think it's a bigger discussion than that.
Also, Regina's green bins have been rolled out, but where will the compost material actually go? Nearby communities say, not in my backyard. Plus, making back to school fun. Hundreds come out for a family fun day in Regina.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, August 23rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. The province's changes to sex education in schools this fall continue to draw criticism. Yesterday, Minister Dustin Duncan announced that parents will be able to opt their kids out of the human sexuality unit. Laura Sharpoletti has more on why some say this move is troubling.
That's a great one. So this is on the far left of the page.
Parents want to be more involved in their children's education. The Minister of Education repeated this many times during his Tuesday policy change announcement. But experts and critics say sex education is not that simple. The Saskatchewan Prevention Institute says this province has the highest rates of teen pregnancy, HIV, and hepatitis C in Canada. It says syphilis rates are growing, and the chlamydia and gonorrhea rates are also among the highest in the country.
So this really indicates unsafe and non-consensual behaviors. So effective comprehensive sexual health education is important to address potential gaps in knowledge and to help ensure that youth have the information and skills that they need to make informed decisions about their sexual health.
Despite this, Duncan says the policy change isn't about STI rates.
I think it's a larger issue than whether or not a kid has taken sex ed class or not. Whether or not their parents have opted out, I think it's a bigger discussion than that.
Teachers are also no longer allowed to invite third-party educators into their classrooms for lessons on sexual health education. One such educator says there are misconceptions around what they do.
We're not teaching children how to have sex. We are not teaching children or youth about promiscuity. We are teaching safety. We are teaching how to avoid negative outcomes. We are teaching harm reduction.
Still, some people are happy with the change and say sex education belongs at home.
What's best for the children? And the parents being part of the discussion, huge, and proper education is huge. Sex education at a young age, I think, has no place in the school system.
But sexual health educators believe children have the right to that education.
We often reflect on the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child, and these outline a variety of rights for children, including non-discrimination, access to information, and ensuring that adults have the best interest of children in mind when they make decisions.
The minister says these changes come after hearing from parents. Critics tell CBC they hope the government will also listen to experts on sexual health as the policies come into effect in the coming weeks. Laura Sharpoletti, CBC News, Regina.
Meanwhile, trans and queer allies around the province have been reacting to the new requirement of parental permission for youth under 16 to change their name or pronouns in a school setting. The executive director of UR Pride says it's not about parental rights, it's a political decision. Ariana Giroux says her own experience is a prime example of that.
And then I have one parent who I haven't spoken to in, I think, 2 or 3 years now, because it's not safe for me. They withheld my legal documents. They withheld my passport, birth certificate, and ID from me to prevent me from being able to access hormones or name change, because they think that this is all a political thing. They think that my identity and who I am and the way that I can navigate this world safely is a threat to them personally. It's not about me, it's about how they feel. And so it's kind of similar to this. If this policy was around when I was in high school, I would have inevitably ended up with a parent who would have put me through abuses to be able to try to cure the trans, right? And so This is a story that's very common in the trans community. Most trans folks have a strained relationship with their parents, if not a bad relationship, and it's because parents are often unwilling to see past trans and see their kid for who they are, see their child for who they are, right?
There's a new tool in the battle to reduce drug overdoses in our province. A new project between the University of Regina and AIDS Program South Saskatchewan is mapping discarded needles in public places. This will allow resources such as naloxone training and drug recovery options to be put where they're needed most.
Our hope is that the general public frequenting these spaces will be more equipped in naloxone to offer aid and life-saving support for people potentially experiencing a drug toxicity overdose, and that people who use drugs who are not able to move around the city will be able to avail themselves of very local community support, both for income and employment assistance and other practical concerns, and for peer support and community care to feel more hope and wellness, and move towards harm reduction.
The research team will train 50 Regina residents who use drugs to administer naloxone and offer peer support to other drug users. People who find needles can input their location into a website created by APSS called reportneedles.ca. As of August 1st, there have been 92 confirmed and 199 suspected drug toxicity deaths in Saskatchewan. It was a day for giving back in Saskatoon. The Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority and Dakota Dunes Casino organized a community barbecue at the Emergency Wellness Centre in Fairhaven. People who use the emergency centre rubbed shoulders with the people who helped get them there. The centre is run by the Saskatoon Tribal Council. Tribal Chief Mark Arcan says it's important to recognize the community pulling together. But he says much more is needed. Arcan endorsed a letter from the Board of Police Commissioners to the province.
I support the Saskatoon Police Board of Commissioners on their request for more complex beds. We see there's more than 106 people in need in our city. We have the fire department doing encampments throughout our city. That shows, I think it was about 44 encampments throughout our neighborhoods from the last time I've seen. So people are addressing these needs, but we need the funding to go along with that. It can't be poor funding because the system's going to fail.
Arcan says the Wellness Centre is at capacity and has been since it opened a year and a half ago. It has 106 beds. He says about a third of the people coming to the centre are still using substances and need more comprehensive care. The City of Regina hopes to secure a composting facility before its curbside organic waste pickup program starts next month. A contractor has applied to build one east of the city, but as Nicholas Frew reports, people living near the proposed site want the facility to go elsewhere.
This is where a contractor wants to set up a compost facility for the City of Regina. The city hired Evergen Infrastructure Corp to handle the organic waste collected through its curbside pickup. The program is slated to start for some households next month, but there's strong opposition to Evergen's proposed build.
I think that we're remaining hopeful, frankly, that they will honor the obligation they met while also being practical, that it is causing some public outcry there, and that, frankly, they could overturn the permit.
Evergen filed a discretionary use application to the rural municipality of Edenwold, seeking to operate a commercial compost facility to process organic waste. The company would create compost for distribution and sale at the proposed site north of Highway 46, just outside the town of Pilot Butte. The RM held a town hall meeting yesterday to allow people to air concerns. Dozens of residents, including Pilot Butte Mayor Peggy Chorney, spoke at the meeting or wrote the RM Council.
The concern is it's 1.6 kilometers outside a residential community. So it's not sitting in an industrial or, those type of zoning. It's actually on our doorstep.
Chorney says residents share multiple concerns, such as the potential smell from the facility and potential impacts to the local environment and aquifer. Evergen's president also attended the town hall and told everyone the concerns are being taken seriously.
I'm here today, again, to affirm we're going to stand behind this facility. We're going to inject the capital that this facility needs in order to ensure that it's fully compliant, that there's no risk to water contamination, that there's no odor issues.
Regina City Manager Nikki Anderson says the city does not yet have an alternate location. If the application is denied, Anderson says the city could store compost at its current waste site and transport it once another site is secured. Nicholas Frew, CBC News, Regina.
More than half of Regina's scheduled construction projects for this year are done or are in progress. The update came today from the city. $113 million was slated for road and infrastructure projects in 2023, and so far, 159 projects are done. And there have been some emergencies, too. That includes the failure of the stormwater system near the Albert Street Bridge. A sinkhole erupted in a family's yard as a result, and the work that followed created some delays for traffic on the bridge and an eyesore in the park.
So this year, we're not seeing any more calls for sinkholes, and our water main breaks actually have been less than usual, and that's attributed to significant investment in our underground water systems to reduce those breaks, but it is very weather dependent. So if we have a very dry year like now, we may see more breaks in the fall, but we expect less because of the investment that we've done.
So what's done? Almost 20 kilometers of roads and more than 5 kilometers of sidewalks have been upgraded. Nearly 7,000 tons of asphalt have been used for road repairs and pothole patching. Other major projects, including Albert Street and the McCarthy Boulevard renewal, are also on track. Both should be done by the end of next month.
3, 2, 1.
The marina at Wascana Lake is becoming more accessible for athletes. Mayor Sandra Masters was on hand yesterday for ribbon cutting to officially open the new docks at Wascana. The new docks are wider and longer, allowing people with varying physical abilities easier access to the boats.
For athletes with disabilities, it means that they'll be able to load and disembark the boats faster and more safely. And safety is a big problem. On the previous narrow docks, there's a chance of falling in. Some athletes with disabilities had to be escorted, so it created even more congestion and problems with the loading and unloading process here.
It's hoped installation will be done by end of Thursday, and that is just in time. The Regina Dragon Boat Festival is back in Wascana Park this coming weekend. The Hospitals of Regina Foundation unveiled its fall lottery show home on Fieldstone Way in the Creeks today. The $1.3 million Ripplinger-built show home comes fully furnished, professionally decorated, and landscaped. The 3,200 square foot house also comes with $50,000. There are actually 383 prizes up for grabs in the fall lottery that supports hospitals in the Queen City. Draw date is November 1st. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Pregnant women in southwest Saskatchewan say they're not sure where they can go to give birth. That's because the hospital in Swift Current is down to just one anesthesiologist. As Jason Work reports, the situation is causing delays and cancellations throughout the hospital.
Anesthesiologists administer the drugs that put people to sleep during virtually every surgery performed in hospitals. But there's only one of them left working at the Swift Current Hospital. He's in his mid-70s.
What this has sort of resulted in is it's difficult for one person to keep the entire surgical program afloat. This particular anesthetist is in some ways his own type of hero. He is doing far more than I think could be expected of anybody. He is really pushing himself as far as I think farther than anybody should be asked to be quite honest.
Garcia says the shortage affects all hospital services.
I would have a full surgical day ready to go. But when we only have one anesthetist, you have a couple of surprise cesarean sections suddenly come on board. Well, of course, baby takes priority. And I've had entire days lost because of that. And it's not much I can do about it.
One woman recently gave birth in Swift Current. The anesthesiologist was only on shift for the first part of her labor.
Quite nerve-wracking, scary. Didn't know what was, coming my way. So, yeah, it was scary for sure.
A healthy baby was delivered, but Evanson still needed an emergency surgical procedure to remove her placenta.
They decided that I had to go to the OR for a removal. With that, they said I need conscious sedation. The conscious sedation is normally performed by an anesthesiologist.
An emergency room doctor had to give her the anesthetic, and the surgery was a success.
Luckily, I had a great nurse at my side. The doctors were great too, but it's just unfortunate that they're all put in that position, that they didn't have the the normal team that they have to do the procedure. So yeah, it was scary for sure. I was quite nervous, and especially right after giving birth to a baby and already having emotions running high, and then having that happen was unfortunate for sure.
Several pregnant women we spoke to say they're nervous about going to Swift Current to have their babies.
So if they say, hey, there's no anesthesiologist right now and you're in active labor, you have to make that choice. For me, I'm not willing to take that risk if there are the service disruptions in place while I am in labor. So yeah, a lot of factors come into play that just add an extra level of stress that really shouldn't be there.
Provincial health officials say it's still safe for most women to deliver their babies in Swift Current. They say patients are assessed upon arrival, and if they are deemed to be a high-risk delivery, they're transferred to an alternate hospital able to provide the required services. Restoring full access to all services remains the priority. Provincial health officials also say there's a national shortage of these kinds of specialists, but they're working hard to hire more. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Employee pricing is on now.
Well, our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. Very popular with the rain lovers today, but the active weather lovers, maybe not so much.
Yeah, it really got out of hand this afternoon, especially in southeastern Saskatchewan. It was this thunderstorm cell that actually prompted a tornado warning along Highway 18 here, kind of between Oxbow and Gainsborough. The warning's over now, and the cell has now moved into Manitoba, but we still do have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the Carlisle, Oxbow, Carnduff area through the evening tonight. And we saw those storms because skies have finally cleared through southern Saskatchewan, allowing the temperatures to really heat up and that storm activity to get going. And we did reach our daytime highs, even got over daytime highs in the south today compared to yesterday when we got nowhere near them. Estevan actually got up to 30 degrees today, and right now with the humidity feeling closer to 30 in a lot of places, Estevan was actually feeling like 38 earlier this afternoon. Very muggy day there today. Now through south and central tonight we'll see those thunderstorms and shower activity start to die down, but it could produce a little bit of fog, that humidity that we've seen once again. We could see that through the early morning hours tomorrow. This low pressure system begins to move in through the night tonight and through the day tomorrow in the northern grain belt and through the Churchill region, bringing significant rain there. And then in south and central, we're staying sunny for the most part through the day tomorrow. Maybe a few thunderstorms at times in central Saskatchewan, but not expected to be severe. Then high pressure moves in, finally clearing all of us out as we head into Friday and begin the weekend as well. Rainfall amounts generally in about the 10 to 20 millimeter range through, again, mostly the Churchill region of the province, maybe some heavier pockets of rain and showers and thunderstorms in the Isle Lacrosse and Beauval area. Again, that visibility could be at times less than half a kilometer in eastern sections of the province overnight tonight and will clear as we head through the day tomorrow. There is a risk that we could see a little bit of funnel cloud development around that area of low pressure tomorrow. So in central Saskatchewan from Melfort up to around Meadow Lake down to Lloydminster, that is a possibility. Not expecting a lot of severe weather from that though. As that system moves through to the south of it, we'll see gusts pick up, especially tomorrow through the day from the north and northwest, upwards of 50 kilometers an hour. And that may push a little bit of haze through south and central. We've been seeing that over these past couple of days. Air quality advisories remain in effect for the far north of the province, and we're expecting that to linger as smoke will continue to move through, sometimes heavier. Now for Regina, tomorrow looking for actually quite a pleasant day. Humidity should drop back a bit and we'll get a bit of a breeze, so that'll be nice. And really the weekend looking quite pleasant, and into next week again we're seeing those temperatures really start to take off. Saskatoon, the risk of a thunderstorm tomorrow with those gusty winds, and temperatures a little bit cooler, but not to worry, high pressure is going to clear things out and bump those temperatures up, and once again back close to 30 degrees. I think we'll stay out of heat warning criteria though this time, Sam.
Brought to you by the letter P for pleasant.
Yes, exactly.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
A half dozen prized pears have sold for a pretty incredible price at an auction in Japan. This box of 6, yes, 6 premium grade pears pulled down a record 170,000 yen. That's That's nearly $1,600 Canadian. The winning bid came from a fruit shop that intends to turn the fruit into desserts. We'll be back after the break.
When it comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
Welcome back. A plane crashed after leaving Moscow today, and Russian authorities say Yevgeny Prigozhin was listed on the passengers on board. Still not clear if he was actually on the plane. Prigozhin is the leader of the Wagner Group, a private army which mutinied against Russia's military leadership in June. Amateur video showed what appeared to be the plane crash. The Russian state news agency says all 10 people on board were killed and 8 bodies have been found. Russian President Vladimir Putin appeared to let Prigozhin off easy in June after the revolt he orchestrated seemed to fizzle. Commentators said that uprising was most serious challenge to Putin's leadership since he first became president. India made history today by landing a spacecraft on the south pole of the moon. It's the first country to do that, a triumph for a country's space program as the craft touched down. India becomes the 4th country to achieve a moon landing. It comes days after a Russian spacecraft crashed on the surface. A rover is now scheduled to explore the uncharted territory on the lunar South Pole. Scientists say it may contain water and ice that could support a future moon settlement. Ethan's back with one last look at your weather. Are we going to see the moon tonight?
Well, might be a little bit foggy, especially around midnight, Sam. Looking for that fog to start building in overnight. 15 degrees, the winds out of the west, and those are going to start to pick up a little bit as we head through the morning hours. But we will be sunny, not going to change much in terms of temperatures. Those winds continuing to pick up through the afternoon, getting close to around 40 kilometers an hour or so. But again, a pretty pleasant day, feeling like the mid-20s, not much humidity to speak of. A clear night in Saskatoon, though I think we're generally going to avoid the fog for the most part, getting to sunny skies and lighter winds by the time we get to the morning hours. And then a chance of an afternoon shower as well, but otherwise looking mainly sunny. So P for pleasant, Sam, and S for sunshine in your forecast.
Oh, you and your alphabet. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And before we leave you tonight, students are not quite back in classrooms reciting their alphabet just yet, but at Regina's North Central Family Centre today, they were getting ready. Hundreds of kids and parents enjoyed a family fun day this afternoon, along with a barbecue, games, and balloon animals. There was also a backpack and school supply giveaway. Organizers say financially, things have gotten tougher for parents post-COVID. They say helping with new backpacks, shoes, and supplies is essential to helping kids succeed.
Today is all about the kids. So we've got 430 backpacks filled with school supplies for all the kids in North Central and surrounding areas. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to bring excitement for all of the kids so that no matter where you live or what your family situation might be, the back to school, first day of school can be exciting for everybody.
More than 600 people were expected to attend that barbecue today. Much of the food and a lot of the school supplies donated by people and businesses around Regina. The North Central Family Centre also provides employment classes, bingo nights, and much more, all for free. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/sask, subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Ethan and I will be back with more local news and weather at 11. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.